Target for a new striker is Victor Gyökeres. OK. Doesn't take much, does it?
Tough job that, wasn't it?
Yeah, him. But that's great news, isn't it? If you're an Arsenal fan, suddenly someone coming in saying, oh, I think we need to bring in a striker. Would that be a good choice if they could get that deal done?
Yeah, I think it would be. Depends on the price. I think it always depends on the value of a player and what you can get him in for. But I think what you've seen with him is that he's improved year upon year and there's been a progression within his game. I know he scored a lot of goals for Sporting, but I do still feel like there's a huge step up back into the Premier League to be able to do that. You're also a club who will be fighting. Hopefully, they'll be hoping for a Premier League title next year, so there's bigger responsibility on your shoulders to be able to do that. But it depends on the price tag. I think that's the big question with them. I think Arsenal fans will be also saying, well, why not Isak? Why not go in for him?
OK, in an ideal world, if they're both valued at the same money,
Isak all day.
You go for Isak.
Yeah. Newcastle fans will hate even talking about this because they'll desperately want to keep hold of him, won't they?
So
but I just think
you're not going to Newcastle for your summer holiday now.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I think, just because you know what he can do in the Premier League, you know what he's capable of, that consistency of performance there. He is the all-round striker. Like Stephen said, Gyökeres has obviously showed his development and his progression. But clearly, that's exactly what a sporting director will do straight away. Will come in and go, well, we need attacking reinforcements, and that number 9 position has to be the priority. So
we can sit here now and say Isak, but you're saying that purely, like as Sue says, off the back of the leagues that they're playing in. In a year's time, we could sit here and go, how wrong were we?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with football is that you don't know how someone's going to adapt. Yes, he's played in England before, so he knows the culture, he knows he can live in the country. That's not an issue. It's then how do you adapt to that pressure of playing in the Premier League. I think one thing that Isak's done is that he shoulders a lot of responsibility at Newcastle. He's shown he can take that on his shoulders. Whereas Gyökeres, yes, it's exporting. There is a big sort of clamour for league titles out there, but is it as competitive as the Premier League? Probably not in that respect.
Because we have seen strikers come in paying in the Portuguese league, haven't we?
Yeah.
Stephen, who've looked wonderful and amazing and then frustrate you on a weekly basis.
Evan Nielsen.
I was thinking of an...
Oh, sorry. No, it's true. And that's the thing, though. That's where I look at Darwin Núñez and you think of how he's suffered and how he's struggled coming into the Premier League. A lot of expectation on his shoulders, big price tag. They're the things that you've then got to live up to. And if you don't score for a couple of games, you get away with that in different leagues, in smaller teams. But at Liverpool, at Arsenal, you don't get that opportunity. If you look at Højlund now at Manchester United, people are wondering why he's not scoring goals. And, there's a lot of questions asked. So it's one of those. Is he the right fit for Arsenal? Probably, but that's on paper. There's so much more that goes on behind the scenes.
Is it just the pace, the physicality, the skill level, or is it also the scrutiny as well that goes with it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of them, isn't it? Because I think you've probably seen players perform maybe in different leagues and it is going to be different to the Premier League. So it's adapting to that, adapting to the club, the culture as well. Maybe if they haven't played in England before, but it is, of course, the scrutiny. If you're playing at one of the top-end clubs, straight away, how long has everybody been saying that Arsenal need to go and get a recognised number 9? So you're that recognised number 9 that comes in and straight away you're expected to score goals. But I think if you are a top-class striker, you probably do believe in yourself and you believe that you can do that. You know that Arsenal have got players that are going to create for you. So, yeah, I think it's probably a combination of all of those factors when you come in.
My big thing is when a sporting director comes in is that name's no different to anyone. So why do you need a sporting director to go, we'll go after him? Arteta could have told you that. Or any of us could have said, well, Gyökeres is a good player, so why not go after him? I think your job as a sporting director is to go out and find the gems that no one else finds, or get deals done where you think you can't get them done. And I know people will say, well, you can't get Gyökeres. Well, you can, because he's going to move to the Premier League and you're going to pay a king's ransom for him. So that deal should be able to get done. It's the other players that you've got to fill in the gaps in the squad that you're thinking, okay, where can we go and find good players and the gems that are going to not only add to our squad but add value to the squad as well. So if we do need to sell players down the line and raise money, then we've got players that were adding value to the squad.
I think that's why we speak so highly, isn't it, about the likes of Brentford and Brighton and, you know, teams like that do bring in players that you go, oh, not really heard of them, and then suddenly, you know, they go for, you know, £100 million, and you think, well, that's a real clever sporting director, isn't it? A real clever club where they bring in players that you don't know, maybe a young player, and then they develop them and sell them on for whatever value. But I do think with Arsenal, not only is it about bringing the right players in, it's also probably about signing the players that are, or re-signing the players that are already there if they're coming towards the end of the contract, and maybe getting rid of some of the ones that they don't want. And I just think it's so important that he's got that relationship with Arteta as well. You know, it's a communication between the two of them.
Yeah,
it's not just him going out. It's about how they work together, and I think that will be key.
But those clubs you mentioned, Sue, they rely very much on statistics, don't they?
Yeah.
And kind of this idea of looking at all the stats and all the metrics. But what you're saying, Stephen, is that ability to perform under the most intense scrutiny is the intangible one of it, isn't it? Because
there's
you
no
just
metric
don't
for it.
know.
No. There's no metric for that. That's the difficult one to be able to sort of find, isn't it? And that's why it's so difficult when you are signing players, is can they do it at the highest level? I mean, the notable ones in the Premier League are Kevin De Bruyne and Mohamed Salah. Both failed at Chelsea, or deemed to have failed at Chelsea, but were very young when they went to Chelsea, went away, proved that they could do it. And when Kevin De Bruyne re-signed into the Premier League at Manchester City, everyone went, yeah, but he failed at Chelsea. He can't do it in the Premier League. But the managers saw something different. Salah, they saw something different in him as well. And it's trying to pick out what you're looking for as a scout to know that you can do it under pressure. And what you're trying to find is you're trying to watch them in the most pressurised situation in games, and do they sink or swim in them games? And I think that's where you can find a barometer on those players as to how courageous they are, how strong mentally they are in them situations.
Well, we're still waiting for Mikel Arteta to arrive for his news conference, but let's have a look at these pictures. Because look, here is Andrea Berta there for the news conference today. Let's go around shaking a few hands. There is going to be a lot of scrutiny on him, isn't there, Sue? And this idea that he has to, in some ways, produce a magic wand and deliver.
Yeah, 100%, and get the right players in. Like we spoke about, not only the right mentality, but the right profile of player, a player that's going to fit with Arsenal and fit with Mikel Arteta and the players in and around. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him and doing the right thing.
I mean, it is just it is ridiculous that a club as well organised and well resourced as Arsenal Football Club, with so many intelligent footballing minds have taken this long. I mean, this is 5 or 6 years that this debate has been running. So I think that's poor by them. This talent, he's 18. He was playing in the European under-17s a year ago. I mean, he's a fabulous talent, but he's best off the right. You know, it's unfortunate he's not more effective off, or he could develop into someone more effective off the left than Martinelli. But he's a terrific prospect. But it is that centre forward. I mean, as I understand it, the complication is just dealing with Leipzig, who are just playing hardball over Sesko. So look, maybe them being linked more heavily with Gyökeres might sort of focus minds at Leipzig. I don't know, but I think the debate, well, touch wood, it will be settled, because they have to buy a